Welcome to a very special Christmas episode of The Holy Post. On today's show, we talk about the most important stories of the last year, including the rise of Christian nationalism, political and cultural divisions within evangelicalism, and how Twitter has deteriorated into a middle school lunchroom food fight. We also give our predictions for what's coming in 2023, including the rise of artificial intelligence. We're also unexpectedly interrupted by a surprise guest who wants to set the record straight about the war on Christmas and explain why Phil is now on the naughty list. All of that, plus everyone's favorite Christmas songs, hymns, and movies, and cows escape a live nativity. Before we jump in, a reminder to our supporters out there that there's a new episode of Christian Asks out this week. This time she wonders, what is the biblical definition of heaven? It's a great discussion, so I hope you can join us. If you're not yet a Holy Post supporter, go to holypost.com and click the Support Us button for all kinds of bonus content. Okay, here's a very special Christmas episode 540.
Hey there, welcome back to the podcast. This is the Holy Post podcast. I'm Phil Vischer. I'm here with Christian Eleanor Taylor.
Hello.
Hi, Christian.
Why am I Eleanor?
Is your middle name Eleanor?
No, it's Clark.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
What?
Christian Clark.
I do remember that we talked about that before, and you told us why, but I don't remember.
My parents were given tickets to go to Hawaii by the Clarks on their honeymoon.
So are all your siblings named after the travel agent?
No.
And Sky Jatani. Hi, Sky.
Hi, Phil. Hi, Christian Clark.
Wait, your middle name's it's not Akash. That's your real first name. Your middle name is very Anglo, if I recall. Charles.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's quite kingly.
Akash Charles.
Did you guys know?
Which is my maternal grandfather's name and uncle.
Okay. And my
Norwegian.
my middle name is Roger, which is my maternal great-grandfather, R.R.
R.R.
The second R is Roger.
It's not Roger.
Roger. No, it's not. It's Robert Roger was his name.
My pseudonym is
Roger.
Caitlin Clark, which we talked about on Twitter this week because, I don't know.
That's right.
Yeah. So
somebody brought it up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, Merry Christmas, everybody. It's our Christmas episode. We're going to have so much fun. But right now, we're going to listen to the theme song. What's the news that you like the most? Who's your favorite podcast host? If it's breakfast, get your toast. It's Sky and Phil and the Holy Post. Sky and Phil and the Holy Post. And sometimes Christian. Oh, what a great theme song. Didn't you like that theme song, Christian?
amazing.
That was fantastic. It gets better and better every week, I think. I re-record it every week. It's a little bit different. If you can find the differences week to week, Christian will send you $1. The first story, okay, it's Christmas. It's Christmas time. What's your favorite Christian Christmas carol, and what's your favorite secular Christmas carol? Sky?
I don't know. I've never thought about this. Like, what's my here's when I'm just driving in the car and it looks Christmassy outside, I will start singing White Christmas. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It just happens.
I think
Something
I know
in my
why,
brain.
because it says White Christmas.
Yeah, but it's like that's the song that comes first. I don't know why. So I guess that's the secular one. Christian one, I don't know why again, but I kind of like O Come, Emmanuel.
That's my favorite one.
Is it?
I was thinking about that one too.
Really? It's got a lot of good theology in it, I think. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Christian, what about you?
Well, that is my favorite Christmas one. That one, Christian one, along with Do You Hear What I Hear? I like that one. But my secular favorite is Silver Bells.
Oh, that's a good one too. That's a good one. I'm a fan. I don't know if some people really don't like it. I'm a fan of the Beatles Christmas song. Secular songs.
Is it? They say it's what's it called? Is it Christmas?
I don't remember it.
Yeah,
I cannot think of it. It's not Do They Know It's Christmas Time. That was the Feed the World. That's the Feed the World Christmas song. That's not it. It's the one John Lennon wrote, which I like, but I can't remember
what about favorite Christmas movie?
So it's Christmas. It starts like.
Oh yeah. So this is
Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
That's it.
Okay, so that's my
Favorite Christmas movie.
Ooh.
Die Hard. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to say nowadays.
That's
correct.
correct.
The cool
that is the correct
No,
answer.
that's not the correct answer.
Yeah. Christian, I was at your house last week. You have a Die Hard advent calendar,
No.
so don't you tell me you don't like Die Hard.
I do not. I have never even seen Die Hard. I am certain that Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's some sort of action like killer thing, which is antithetical to Christmas.
Phil, have you seen the advent calendar?
No.
It's shaped. It's a wood thing. It stands up on your table. It's shaped like Nakatomi Center, the building, and it has Hans Gruber falling from the top of the building. And every day you lower him one more floor, and when he gets to the bottom, it's Christmas time.
So the Christ child arrives when he dies.
Hold on. It's actually very biblical, because when you read, and I talked to Caitlin about this in our last Getting
falls
Schooled.
from the sky.
No,
Satan falls from the sky like a star.
Mary
and Jesus.
Mary, when she finds out she's pregnant and she's at Elizabeth's house and she has her Magnificat in Luke's gospel, she talks about how she's been blessed by the Lord and how he's going to bring false rulers down. He's going to bring down all the false, the proud, or I forget the exact, I don't have my Bible in front of me, but I see that as Hans Gruber falling from Nakatomi Center. That is the spirit of Christmas.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, to each his own, but mine, of course, there's a tie, really. It's a Wonderful Life. I watch it every year. And
That's cliche.
Yes, I know. But it was made by a World War II, veteran director, and Elf, which is also cliche. But I now have a new favorite. My new favorite is not a movie; it's a series, and it's Hawkeye.
That was garbage.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was kind of dumb.
I think I watched one episode.
I
of it.
loved it. You should finish. It's really good.
I watched it all.
It's Christmassy?
The whole thing was about Christmas.
It's set at Christmas time. That's about it.
Yes, and it has excellent placement of Christmas music all the way throughout. I loved it. You should try it, Phil. It gets better.
I thought of one to say that none of you had mentioned, and then by the time you guys talked about yours, I forgot it.
Oh no!
So I don't remember. Home Alone is kind of sweet.
Oh, I hate that one. Hate it.
Okay, moving right along. I got a story for you. It's Christmas time. We need Christmas-related stories. Cows escape live nativity event, leading police on a chase.
It's probably in Mississippi.
After cows escape, North Carolina. After cows escaped this live nativity event, North Carolina church had a not-so-silent night. The Seaside Chapel in North Carolina does an annual live nativity. It's a tradition. It's a tradition that they do that started all the way back in 2020. That's actually what it says in the story. It's been a tradition started in 2020. Church members and local law enforcement officers spent 16 hours chasing down two calves that escaped Seaside Chapel's live nativity event. The cows went missing on the evening of Saturday, December 3rd, and weren't spotted until around 10 a.m. the next day. The search party eventually, this is where it gets kind of crazy, drove them into the Cape Fear River at Carolina Beach State Park in order to make it harder for them to keep running away. And then the police waded into the river and got ropes on them. And they're okay. Everybody's okay. That's the good news.
Wait a minute. They went missing at 8 o'clock at night and they weren't found till the next morning?
Yes.
How difficult is it to find cows?
Well,
The
everybody was
calves are
sleeping.
little.
They're not
They're
that
sneaky.
small.
Calves, they can slip under fences. They can crawl go up downspouts like spiders. They're tiny little cows. Tiny little cows.
But everybody was
Why you look
probably
at me like that?
sleeping. They didn't know.
Yeah, maybe they didn't notice. That they got out.
Yeah, I just wrote a devotional today that'll come out tomorrow about, do you know why traditionally nativity scenes have a donkey and an ox?
A donkey and an ox.
Because they represent, one represents Peter and one represents Pharaoh.
No.
Biblical symbolism.
One represents the early Republicans and the other one, the early Democrats.
No. Oh. Not anything nearly that American-centric.
Okay.
It's because by the 2nd century, Christians started reinterpreting a verse in Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah 1:3. and I don't have it in front of me, but it basically says, even the ox knows its owner and the donkey knows its owner's manger. But my people don't know me, the Lord, or something like that. It's a rebuke of Israel where God basically says, even animals are smart enough to recognize who their master is, and you're stupider than animals. Wow. And so because it mentions this donkey knows its owner's manger, people go, oh, there was a manger in Luke's gospel of Jesus. And so they started putting this ox and the donkey in the manger scenes as a way of saying, even the animals recognize the coming of their master. Are you dumber than an animal?
Wow. Not only is that biblical news, it's animal news. Mm-hmm. It's also, and this is one of Sky's own favorite categories, historical references to stupidity news.
Yes.
Yeah. So there we go. We've wrapped it all up into a ball. Okay. We're going to go on because we got lots of stuff to cover. The next story, and this is very, very exciting. I just got to say, we finally solved, there's been an age-old conflict, an age-old war. We finally solved it. Who's right? Complementarians or egalitarians? We now know the answer. I'm excited to read this story. Oh, wait,
you guys hear that?
No. What sounds like?
What is that?
What's it? Sounds like jingle bells. What does that have to do with my story?
I don't know. Who's doing that?
Are we being haunted? Is there a ghost of Christmas past coming?
Did you push a button, Phil?
Christian, are you jingling?
I'm not jingling.
Christian?
I said I was going to come with bells on, but I did not mean that.
You didn't come with those bells on?
No. You?
Huh, well, I don't know what to do now. I'm completely off my...
Okay, you were talking about egalitarians and complementarians and who wins.
Hello? Yeah.
Oh.
Wait a minute.
What's happening?
Sorry, I was on the phone with Sky, taking care of some business.
Santa Claus. We are being joined by Santa Claus, everybody.
We had some Holy Post business to take care of. And Phil, you were definitely not invited to that. So I could just vouch. I could vouch for Sky's whereabouts when he was late. That's all I'm going to say.
Wait. Sky was off meeting with Santa without me?
We were.
Did he tell you what I wanted?
Oh, yes. And the answer is no.
Wow. Phil's got some weird things on his Christmas list.
Oh my gosh, Santa, it's so good to see you.
No.
I didn't think that you were available this time of year with everything you have going on.
It's busy, but you know what? For the Holy Post Patreon listener, I am available.
Man.
It is well known. It is well known among elf kind that they are the most patient, tolerant, put up with a bunch of malarkey crowd out there. So
I thought you'd be on the Joe Rogan podcast for sure this year.
No, I've put on a little weight since then, and so I can't be on the Rogan podcast.
Yeah, Rogan does fat shame quite a bit.
He does. He does. I'm waiting to look like this before I go onto the Rogan podcast.
Right, because then you can fit through the eye of a needle.
Yes.
And you can enter the kingdom of heaven.
I really, really hope people are watching this on YouTube rather than just listening, because the visual is fantastic. Santa, we're so glad you're here.
Well, you're very welcome, Sky. And I need to say, you have been marvelous this year.
Have I?
Yeah, Phil, not so much. Okay. Sky, yes. Christian, you were doing great until yesterday when you got your flippin' tree on December 19th. That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard. And it's people like you that make people like me have to work extra hard this time of year.
I'm sorry, Santa.
Yep,
At least I got one. And I cleaned out our fireplace so you won't get dirty when you come down. I should get points.
You know what, Christian, I'm sorry. We're going to have to take this up next Christmas, all right? So we'll see how you do. We'll see how you do the rest of the year. I'm not so sure.
He outsourced the actual present delivery to Jeffrey Bezos, as far as I can tell. Sky, I'm completely off my game. Do you have anything that you would want to ask of Santa?
I am here to set the record straight.
I was just going to ask, why are you here?
I am sick and tired of being misrepresented every December, or in Christian's case, every late December.
And how exactly are you misrepresented, Santa?
Well, it's shocking, but the evangelicals have gotten Santa Claus wrong for the last time. I'm done.
He's throwing down a gauntlet, boys.
I'm done. I'm done.
The evangelicals are the ones that are holding on to truth for everyone else.
That is false, Phil, and doggone it, this is the reason why you're on the naughty list. Right there.
What?
That's right.
Defend your ideas, Santa. What could you possibly mean?
My ideas are simply this. The yearning to get back to a Christ-centered Merry Christmas is a yearning for a time that has never, ever existed previously. Merry Christmas. It was the Christians and the Puritans that punished people for celebrating Christmas. It was too much frivolity. It was too much alcohol. So they punished people for celebrating Christmas. Yes. And it wasn't until the Episcopalians, God bless the Episcopalians, they rescued the holiday by making it an expression of goodwill towards everyone. Absolutely. The evangelicals did nothing except co-opt the Christmas Santa. That's it. That's it. He's not even the real one.
Are you saying Santa is a teetotaler? Is that what you're telling me, Santa? That you didn't like the debauched Christmas of the who was it? The
Puritans.
it was the Catholics.
Yeah, it was the Catholics.
It was in the old world. The old world high church folks that had the feasting and the drinking and all of that. And then the Puritans cleaned it up and threw you right out because you were trying to steal baby Jesus.
I want to be very clear about something. Originally, and nobody knows this, my name is Thomas Anderson, and I'm a computer hacker in the late 90s looking for someone called Morpheus. I get brought into, I'm the seventh Santa Claus, otherwise known as the One. And I'm here to kind of correct the historical record. The real St. Nicholas, born around 280 AD, that guy was a champ. He gave away money. He rescued daughters from slavery by providing a dowry to their father. What were the evangelicals doing?
He slid down chimneys? Did he slide down chimneys?
That only came later.
Or go up them with ease?
Once the 80s aerobics craze hit, the whole chimney idea really
what's
took
going
off.
on with, let's just address the elephant in the room. What is going on with your beard? Your beard should not be above your nose, just FYI. There you go. So it's okay for it to be there. Just, but I don't
Christian,
understand.
I don't take costume advice from somebody who gets their tree 5 days early. Okay?
Wow. Santa's a little prickly,
I'm just
isn't he?
here. I'll tell you what's prickly is the beard. But besides that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just here to tell you, this whole thing about the evangelicals getting us back to Jesus, no, I'm sorry. It's about as consistent as getting us back to a Christian nation. It just ain't there.
Ooh, snap. There's more gauntlet throwing.
Santa's throwing down fireballs. Holy cow.
If I'm hearing you right, you're saying, number one, that this push to put Christ back into Christmas is kind of hypocritical because when you go back far enough, the evangelical-like Christians were opposed to Christmas from the get-go.
This is why you are on the nice list, Sky. You take my words.
I got your back.
I've only had several cups of eggnog. I'm fine. My point is, you're doing a great job making me sound good. Keep going.
What do you think about these strange nativity scenes? I think Caitlin brought this up. At Duke University has one that shows a Santa Claus kneeling in front of a manger. Do you think that is an orthodox way of depicting the holiday?
Is it an abomination or is it a blessing?
That was the
and it's only one of those two. You have to pick one of those two.
That was the fourth Neo, in order to save Zion from the machines.
Are you a Gen Xer, Santa Claus?
No, because he's Santa.
He's just listened to one too many pastors use Neo in there as a sermon illustration.
What do you think the Matrix was about, Phil?
It was about you and Jesus.
I'm just saying, yes.
You, yes,
it's a Christmas.
Anderson.
Matrix is a Christmas movie. That's a hot take for you.
Santa, do you get ticked off when someone hands you a cup of coffee and it's just red but doesn't have Jesus or snowflakes on it?
Absolutely. It doesn't count.
And do you feel like there's a war on you, or are you the war on?
I'm the war on Christmas. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, the real Saint Nick was amazing, and there were all these beautiful stories that flowed out of this person's life. It wasn't until The Unitarians and the Episcopalians rescued the holiday from the Puritans. That Christmas became the celebration that it is today.
But didn't they kind of make it a sort of a generic goodwill toward man, humanitarian achievement, and the Christmas spirit will just make us, be like a Christmas Carol by Dickens, for example, which kind of people think it reflected what English Christmas was. It actually partly created what English Christmas was. People started imitating the Christmas Carol. And one of the things that happens in the Christmas Carol, if I'm not mistaken, Santa S. Claus, Santa Charles Claus, is that in the Christmas Carol, the Scrooge is redeemed without Jesus. He didn't need Jesus. He just needed to have an experience.
What?
That's very Unitarian.
Isn't that Unitarian?
And he becomes a very nice person.
He becomes a very nice person, right. Unless you watched last week's Saturday Night Live skit with Martin Short as Scrooge throwing coins accidentally into the eyes of orphans.
So the idea that there was this Jesus-filled holiday sometime in our past isn't quite historically accurate. So the war on Christmas, there's been no such thing other than by the deeply religious people who canceled it very early on.
Man.
I know, shocking.
But if we didn't have a secular, materialistic Christmas, what would you do for a living?
I would make NFT trading cards online. And I would sell them for $99. I think there are some shocking behind-the-scenes photos.
Of Santa in the
people
off-season?
Be very, very interested, yes. And Mrs.
Santa
Claus.
on a yacht in St. Tropez.
I mean...
Well, is that Mrs. Claus, Santa? Is that the shocking part?
Ladies and gentlemen?
Yeah, who's talking? Who's asking?
I got to admit, Santa, the room you're in doesn't quite look like the North Pole, but it does look like a place that would make NFTs for $99.
Well, Sky, you've just hit the naughty list, my friend.
Ouch.
Boy, we get kicked off onto that naughty list pretty quickly.
Well, it's a fluid list. It changes up until the moment I show up in the chimney.
Well, how do I get back on the good list?
There's no salvation security with Santa.
No.
You can win it and lose it in an instant.
No, this isn't grace.
Santa, who else is currently on the naughty list this year?
Phil Vischer.
Which we knew. That's just a given.
According to my sources, Phil Vischer. According to my sources, Phil Vischer is an unsaved heathen who is falling away and bowing to the bunny of his own creation.
Have you been getting that from Twitter?
I find the internet to be a very reliable source of who's naughty and who's nice.
You can't believe everything you read on Twitter, Santa. I'm sure there's some weird stories about you on Twitter, Santa.
That's false.
Come on,
man.
That
is absolutely
I think I've
false.
seen some naked Santas on bicycles in New York.
Perhaps you did, but those are being reserved for the NFT launch at this juncture. And I will have no further comment at this time per my attorneys.
Wow. Well, do we have any more questions for Santa?
Well, who's on the nice list, Santa?
Christian Taylor, barely.
What about Caitlin?
She is the nice list. She's not on it. She is the nice list. It's disgusting, quite honestly.
Well,
we're actually considering her for the first female Neo.
Every time she tweets about a baby, does an angel get its wings?
Yes, and the elves pause to celebrate. It's getting annoying. We're way behind in production. Yes, or about how great her church is. It's disgusting.
How many books she's reading?
Oh my goodness! Yes,
Oh
how many book deals are in the works? It's frankly intolerable.
Yeah,
I might put her on the naughty list just because she's so nice. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Right. You can be too nice.
Toxic
is
niceness.
Isn't she even in Rwanda right now for Christmas? She's probably serving all the orphans, It's like...
Yeah, she just posted a picture of some baby elephants.
Oh my gosh. As if baby humans aren't enough. Now she's extending it to the cuteness of other species.
Disgusting.
I can't take it. All right. Are we done with Santa?
Well, is Santa going to answer that question?
What? Which question?
The question about egalitarianism and conservatism.
Oh, yes. You came to the right Santa for that one. And the answer is yes.
You betcha.
Who wins?
Thanks.
You were going to tell us who
Thanks,
wins.
Santa. Thanks, Santa.
Twitter wins in the end.
Twitter always wins. Okay, can we let Santa
Bye,
go?
Santa.
Got a lot
Thank
to
you
do.
for stopping by the Holy Post.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
You're
for being on the nice
generous.
list.
You're so generous with your time and prickly with your beard. And there he goes. Well, that was fun.
How exciting was that?
You didn't see that coming, did you, kids? You never know who's going to swing by the Holy
No,
Post.
I like that. I love surprises.
Liven things up. All right, we are going to move on, and we are going to talk about the year in news. And every member of the Holy Post is going to give one story that either was their favorite or they think best exemplifies 2022. Is that what year we're in? Yeah, 2022.
Something like that.
Something like that. Okay. Okay. And we do have a special guest for that, too, who's going to sit in with us.
Oh, gosh. Who is it this time? The Easter Bunny?
I don't know who, and we're going to have to wait and find out. Special guest.
Hello.
Hey! It's Mike
Look
Erie.
at
It's great to see you guys.
Hi, Mike.
Oh, man, I got some sun today. I'm sorry about that. Just brutal. Hey, I just want to say I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me. I hear that your patrons are on the call and that
Patrons
they are
on the call. Yep.
Yeah, and that they are on whatever nice list exists. I'd heard a rumor about some list being passed around.
You know what you just missed?
What?
Santa stopped by.
No way.
Yeah, Santa stopped by, and I think he's using the same Zoom background that you're using.
Now that you think about it, I have never seen.
This just comes with the software.
I've
That's
never
just a
seen
universal background.
I've never seen Mike Erie and Santa Claus in the same place at the same time.
Oh, well, that's
Well, Sky.
that's interesting.
I've never seen Emily Dickinson and Sky Gitani at the same time either, so I'm not sure.
New rumor. Sky is secretly Emily Dickinson.
Only on Friday nights.
Yep, he gets going in karaoke. It's fantastic. Fire up those old Beatles songs. I'm Emily Dickinson.
Okay, guys, people don't come here for craziness. They come here for serious, hard-hitting news, and that's what we need to deliver. So each of us are going to say, and you can join in on this, Mike Erie.
Oh, well, thank you, Phil.
Mike Charles Erie. I've asked you your middle name before. I don't remember what it is. So I'm just going to say it's Charles because that's nice.
Yep, absolutely.
Good enough.
Very kingly.
It's Carl.
Bam.
Yeah.
That's so close to Charles.
It is. It really is. It's the abbreviated form of Charles. It's kind of the more exalted form of Charles is Carl. Christian, I was going to wear red lipstick too today, but I thought, I don't know if it would go with this background.
Well, it would look better with your background than mine.
Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Let me get my glasses
Christian,
on.
I'm going to have Christian start.
Okay. So mine is recent. This happened, 1st of December. I don't know if you guys heard about this story, but there was a whole bunch of people that got stranded in Orlando. And they were all upset about not being able to make it to Knoxville, Tennessee. And somehow they all came together and they decided they were going to share a 15-passenger van to get all the way to Knoxville, Tennessee. And one of them, her name is Alicia Story, I think. She decided that she was going to share the whole experience on TikTok. And so she did little videos of this very eclectic group of people that were on the van trip. And she did it kind of throughout the trip. And they, it was just a really fun, uplifting story. And the moral of the story is it's amazing what you can do with a, she said, SH-TY situation. And when you can kind of come together and make the best of it, you can build community, have a great time, and share that fun with others. So it was very cheery, and I think, it reflects what we all want to be, which is helpful and fun and, sharing the burden.
So your number one story of the year is positive?
Yes.
It's a redemptive story.
This kind of party.
My gosh.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
you didn't
I didn't
say
even know that was possible.
You didn't say I had to pick the number one story of the entire year. You said I had to pick what was my favorite, and this one makes me happy, and it reminds me that there's good in the world, and I just wanted to share that good with everyone else.
I like that. I like that. Okay.
I love it. I think it's a lemonade out of lemons kind of story.
Thank you.
Right?
Uh-huh.
And
adversity, it's an adversity brings people together story, unless the adversity is a global pandemic, and then it drives us into separate camps.
Let's play off this just for a second with Christian's story, because it feels a bit like a metaphor for America.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
Right?
Wow.
Sky, you're right on target here, because this is exactly what I was thinking about, because we've been talking about this in church. I've been reading about it in 2 Peter or 1 Peter. And it's the whole idea that as America, we are so fractured and we are so different. And we have two choices. We can choose to be in our own camps, and we can choose to want our own way and make sure that everybody follows all the other rules, or we can sit around and complain about it all, or we can choose to get in the van together, spend 10 plus hours traveling across the country, and get to know each other and listen to
all be annoyed at the Gen Z kid with the phone that's putting it all on TikTok.
Okay, that works.
So what you're saying is, let me get this straight. What America needs today is to go on a choir tour together.
Yes.
Okay.
That's funny.
I will say
that
a couple of years ago, I fly frequently, and I was on a plane, and there were two guys seated together with MAGA hats on, and just all the stereotypes that you want to associate with that. And across the aisle were a lesbian couple with a baby, who were clearly progressive in their politics. And I remember looking at this and going, this is America. We're all stuck on this plane together, and we either get along or we're going to have a mutiny. And it's like, if we can all get along in a van or in a plane, then why can't we get along in the country and figure out how to go somewhere together?
Amen, brother.
Did they?
Preach it.
Did they get along? Did they get? You didn't tell us how it ended.
Well, I noticed some kind of dirty looks back and forth. But
That's fine.
But no punches were thrown.
I know. That's the America I know.
Right.
Did the MAGA guys ever end up holding the baby?
No, I don't believe
But
so.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. My guess is that wasn't because they were MAGA guys. It's because they were guys in general.
Guys.
Well, most people don't share their baby on a plane with strangers in general.
That's true.
And that's what's wrong with this country. We need more baby sharing on planes.
Right.
That's my new
I like that
movie.
We could do a baby share app.
Yeah.
We have ride sharing, why not baby sharing?
I like that.
I'm just throwing it out there. Phil, you're an
I can't
entrepreneur.
think of anything that could possibly go wrong with that.
No, it'll be great.
Okay, Mike Erie. Erie.
Let me
now,
tell
do
you
you
right
have
now.
something positive, negative, a little of both?
No, this is depressing. This is what I thought I was being invited into.
gone
Is
last.
depressing stories.
See, I should have gone last and given everybody the hope and joy of Christmas.
I know.
No.
I know. I didn't know you were going to pull Lucy pulling the bad news football from Charlie Brown right before he kicks it through the bad news field goal. Mike Erie, what do you got?
Well, my I don't know, the most absorbing story this year for me has been the fall from grace of a certain beloved children's entrepreneur. Years ago, decades, if you will, there were many people who were introduced to the Bible, the gospel, the love of God through vegetables. And there were, I think we all know, very catchy songs. I still sing "Where's My Hairbrush?"
Where is the hairbrush?
Frequently. And Christmas specials. And so anyway, it was just, it was wonderful. And it comes out 30 years later that this man, this beloved figure, the voice for many of what Jesus would sound like, is a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah.
And
a heretic.
The Twitters have said about this person, apostate, which I thought was a department store, but I guess that is a statement about heresy. He is dangerously confused. He has inane rants and speculations, and he has lost his soul. And so you thought this was...
Are you quoting?
I'm actually quoting.
Okay.
Yep. You just look up Phil Vischer, and it's amazing. Amazing what comes up.
So anyway,
that's my story.
If you go to his Facebook page, Mike, I don't know if you've done this, but it's basically a barroom brawl. Yeah, barroom brawl. Yeah. It's
So I didn't know. I haven't been on Facebook in a while, let alone my favorite children's creator page.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This was disappointing because we lost Rob Bell. And really, first it was Amy Grant. I mean, I'm not even going to lie. It was Amy Grant first.
Before that, it was Oprah.
And then it was Rob Bell, and then Phil Vischer. And it's like, who can I trust anymore? That's my story. Sky, do you want to comment on this?
Sky Jitani, he's on the nice list. We just heard from Santa. You can trust.
That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me. Look at that sweatshirt that man is wearing right there.
Indeed. Mike is also a Miami alumni, by the way.
That's right. Mm-hmm. We're alumnuses.
Mm-hmm. I know you're heartbroken, Mike, over Phil's fall, but
is that his name? The guy we're talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about this.
That's funny because that's my name too, and I didn't realize that I shared the name with a heretic.
I just want to point out that these same accusations were made against Jesus.
I've never seen Jesus and Phil in the same room either.
Nor have I.
Did Jesus compare Christians, I'm quoting on Twitter again, did Jesus compare Christians who value the nuclear family and heterosexual marriage to Confederate theologians?
I mean, that I don't know, but that sounds grievous.
It does. Doesn't it? Especially since Phil didn't do that. But anyway.
Yeah. I'm sorry, okay. Christian. I mean, Christian, yours was fantastic. Mine's a story of heartache and heartbreak, and really, I don't know where to go.
Well, Mike, if I can, as I did with Christian's story, try to come up with a larger application.
Oh, Sky, yes. What if Jesus was serious about Phil Vischer?
Well, I'm going to go a little different direction, which is I think your story sort of illustrates the general chaos and cesspool that is Twitter.
Oh.
And unfortunately, the mob action that occurs there, which cannot always be relied upon to bring out actual truth and context.
What?
I know. Shocking.
It's awful. I know.
I have to say that I got this invite to bring stories, and I misread it as everyone needed to bring 4 stories. So I brought 4 stories, and one of my stories was in fact Twitter. So it goes with your story, and it's not like about what although Twitter has been in the news. Have you noticed how much Twitter's been in the news this year?
Rightfully so.
It became the news, but what I've been learning more and more about Twitter, and it's kind of like learning about a chainsaw by counting the fingers that are now lying on the ground next to the wood, saying, okay, that's not how it works. That's not how you do it. I'm going to try one more way to run this chainsaw. So that's what I've been doing on Twitter. Twitter is a chainsaw, and former fans are my fingers. So they're lying on the side of the log.
And turn that into a metaphor, Sky.
Well, I have been watching Phil's fingers fall off on Twitter, and I'm learning a great deal as well.
Yeah. See, I am take up your cross and follow me. I am willing to take up my cross and die on Twitter so that you can live.
Yeah.
So, see, that's biblical.
That's a little bit heretical, which I guess means you're an apostate.
Exactly. There goes another finger. Okay. I'm like a cat with 10 lives, except now all I can do is say peace. I can't count. Okay. So the Twitter, I've learned Twitter is a middle school cafeteria.
That's being generous.
Everybody goes in and finds a table and then sits at that table and then decides that my table are the good, maybe not the jocks, maybe not the smartest, maybe not the brightest, maybe not the best looking or the most popular, but we've figured out a reason to resent every other table in the cafeteria and to look down on them. And so you have to come into Twitter, find your table, and then join the tribal instinct of your table in looking down on every other table on Twitter and probably throwing some food at them. So when you come in to Twitter, the question you have to ask, the other thing, Twitter is a middle school classroom or cafeteria, and Twitter is a laboratory of sanctification. Okay.
How is that? Now you have to explain yourself.
What it is asking is, so what are you going to do? Now, how are you going to respond? You just got hit in the back of the head with a tater tot from that table over there. And you don't like those guys at that table over there. So what are you going to do? Are you going to respond in kind? That's Twitter. And so I'm learning when I find myself uncontrollably reaching for my own tater tots to respond in kind. And I'm learning to say, why are you touching the tater tots?
To build off your metaphor a little bit, Phil.
Please, Sky. Please.
It feels like now, like the lunchroom lady who should be monitoring all of this and making sure people stay within certain bounds has been replaced with a zoo monkey throwing their own feces.
Okay. I guess that can be part of the metaphor. It's not really the part I was getting at, though, because it's not about us, Sky. You've just created an outside enemy for us all to turn our tater tots toward, when I was trying to create a metaphor of spiritual growth where we put down our tater tots. We do not return tot for tot.
I agree. And that's what Jesus calls us to. But my question then is, should we leave the lunchroom? Ooh. Or do you stay?
Oh, snap.
Or do you stay and just take the tater tot in the head over and over and over again?
Ooh.
Guys got to eat lunch.
Well, the lunchroom may disintegrate, and then the problem would be solved.
That's true.
Right.
Okay.
True.
Yeah, because I think my mother the other day said to me, "Why don't you just get off Twitter?" And I said,
"That's why do you stop using cocaine? Just get off cocaine, then you'll be fine."
Did you tell her because it's a laboratory of sanctification?
Yes, it's a laboratory of sanctification, and it is exposing my own sinfulness, and it lets me work on things.
We don't need Twitter to do that.
Exactly.
I'm just throwing that out there.
That's such a justification. I mean, you are so doing backflips too.
I need to go there to remember that I'm a sinner.
Yes.
Saved by grace.
I think St. Augustine had that same attitude about the brothel.
Oh, snap!
We can help you with that, Phil. You don't need Twitter.
Yeah. I've literally texted Phil in the middle of this going, "Hey, Phil, step away. Step away, Phil."
Just now, all you need to do from now on is just say, put down the tater tot.
Yeah. Yep.
Reholster your tot.
That's right. It's not tot for tot.
It's not tot for tot. Do not repay tot with tot.
Yeah.
Okay, so Twitter is our second story. Our first story was the story that should have been our wrap-up story because it actually had us feeling good there for a moment. Thank you, Christian. My mistake for asking you first. Second story is Twitter.
No. Second story.
Second story is fallen children's creator.
Yep.
Fallen Christian.
Apostate vegetable maker.
Who has just proven the point.
Yeah. Yep.
Once beloved Mr. Rogers, now Russian arms dealer.
I don't know. I mean, is the Mr. Rogers analogy, does that hold?
Beloved.
I'm not sure.
The beloved
I think Mr.
thing?
Rogers was nice.
My middle name
in
is
real
Roger.
life.
Do you know what Mr. Rogers said? I read this actually today.
Will you be my neighbor?
He did say that, but he also said that when he was young and he would read really bad things in the news, his mother said to him, "Look for the people that are helping. Look for the people that are helping. There's always good in the world." And I think that's great advice that we should all take.
Mr. Rogers, he would have
Christian,
gotten on that bus.
That begs the question, why are you here?
I'm trying to be the helper.
You're the tater tot recipient who is not leaving the lunchroom, who is turning the tater tots into potato casserole.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah.
In a van down by the river.
So over in the corner, Shane Claiborne is reshaping tater tots into gardening implements.
That was solid, Phil.
God bless him.
So to use Mr. Rogers' wisdom that Christian just shared, who are the helpers? I'm using air quotes. Who are the helpers on Twitter?
Oh, it's definitely me.
All right.
You know who the helpers are? I'll tell you who the helpers are. The helpers are people like Beth Moore.
Oh, preach.
Who
preach.
come out all the time telling the truth, but with humor and, things that are slightly convicting from time to time. Or the Caitlin Chesses of the world, who make us laugh and inspire us to greatness and win awards and read lots of books.
And post baby elephants.
And post pictures of baby elephants. There are plenty of helpers out there. You just have to know who to follow.
It's good. That's good.
Okay. So I
Point taken.
I need to be a little more Beth Moore, a little more. More. That was my grandmother. She's Swedish. Okay, let's move on because we got other stuff to cover. Sky.
Yes.
Sky,
Yes.
what's your story, Sky?
Okay.
And does it implicate me in any way,
No.
as all the prior stories have?
No. I followed the instructions. I have a story which I consider, we didn't talk about this when it happened, although it did come up. I did an interview recently with Walter Kim, who's the president of the National Association of Evangelicals. That interview will be posted probably, next couple of weeks on our show. But this was a story from back in June that we did not cover on the show, which I consider to be a canary in the coal mine kind of story. And here's the headline. This is from Christianity Today. Presbyterian Church in America leaves National Association of Evangelicals. Do you remember this happening?
Yeah.
So the PCA last summer voted to withdraw its membership from the NAE. And the reasons that they cited, it was a vote, I forget, it was like 60-40 roughly of whoever the voting delegates are in the denomination, however that works. But the reason given for leaving the NAE was, and I'm trying to find, okay, so they believe that the NAE has advocated inappropriately for various measures, including the Fairness for All legislation, which was trying to broker a compromise between religious liberty and the LGBTQ community. They don't like the fact that the NAE tried to develop some levels of cooperation with Muslim and Mormon groups. They don't like the NAE's stance on vaccines, and didn't like the NAE's work on issues of race and poverty and environmentalism. And the reason why I call this perhaps one of the most important stories of 2022 and a canary in the coal mine is I think this story represents the rupture that is happening in especially white evangelicalism over politics, where a group in the past, like the NAE, used to have broad buy-in from a lot of different segments of evangelicalism, from Pentecostalism and pseudo fundamentalists to more progressive evangelicals. It's breaking down, and they're now saying we can't cooperate anymore. And they're not citing doctrinal issues. They're not citing theological issues. They're citing culture war issues. And they don't like the fact that historic evangelicalism has played along well with people who don't follow Jesus and has sought the welfare and the common good of a pluralistic society. And now some of these denominations are saying, nope, we are going to really plant our flag in a neo-fundamentalist attitude, and we don't want to build bridges of cooperation with groups or people that think or believe differently than we do, and we don't want to be associated with Christians that will. And so I think this is kind of a harbinger of what is to come in the splits that are going to happen throughout evangelical, not just denominations, but evangelical parachurch institutions like the NAE and, publishing Christian colleges and universities, mission agencies, stuff like that, where we all used to cooperate, I think it's going to start breaking down more and more. And this, for me, was a hint of what's to come.
So do you think there's more of that? I mean, because denominations are losing ground, losing altitude. The biggest denomination is non-denomination.
Right.
No denomination now. So are there enough denominations to be making stands like that?
Well, that's the thing. Exactly. Is that as these denominations are losing members, there's more and more drive to maintain the ones they have, which make them smaller tent. They're less likely to compromise, and they're becoming more intransigent, and that's what's leading to this breakdown. So I just wonder what this means for a lot of institutions that we've all grown up with and are familiar with, and these parachurch evangelical institutions, whether Cru or InterVarsity or Young Life or World Relief or Compassion International. You go on down the list, and then the publishers and the colleges, the Wheatons, the
Moody's,
Talbots. I mean, I'll go on. All these institutions that drew widely from a great swath of evangelicalism, I don't know if that's going to be able to hold in the coming decade. Yeah. And so these kinds of groups leaving the NAE over what previously would have just been seen as run-of-the-mill evangelical social activism and is now seen as a deep violation of the faith is really interesting, I think.
And we're seeing that it like at the macro level and the micro level, in the sense of people like in the church that I'm a part of leaving the church, not for doctrinal reasons, not for relational breakage, not for for anything other than the church doesn't align with my values. And by that, that's code for the church doesn't agree with me politically.
Right.
And so I couldn't agree more, Sky.
You know what we need?
And
you know what we need?
Yeah.
I know what
we need everybody on a bus.
We do need to get everybody
van, cross country together.
Or, which number one is a good option, but I think we need a good war. If we had a good war, like a real...
Hold on a second.
No,
can I vote for bus again?
What?
No, hear me out.
What?
Hear me out. If we had a real war from another nation attacking us, like let's say Russia, then
we need a common enemy.
We could be like the Jewish temple in Ukraine. Because the Jewish temple in Ukraine opened their temple to everyone, regardless of religion or faith, for them to come in and use it as a bomb shelter. And then that becomes just like the bus.
Okay, Christian, it's a very nice sentiment, but I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay, tell me.
Oh.
Whoa!
Oh.
Two reasons. Number one, specifically about Ukraine, it's interesting that when that war broke out, there is a segment of American conservatives, including Christian nationalists, who still to this day are siding with Vladimir Putin.
I know.
Yeah.
And secondly, we had a war. And you may not have realized it, but we all lived through a dramatic war over the last 2 years that killed 1 million Americans.
Yes.
And that was the pandemic. And if that pandemic, it had the potential to unify us as a country because we were all facing the same great obstacle, and we could have unified and banded together and supported each other. Instead, our politics and our culture warring ended up turning that potentially unifying pandemic into only greater division.
Okay, I'm going to give you that. And so I'll give you that point, but I've got one more.
What if there were 2 wars?
No, not 2 wars, not 2 wars. What if we actually took Jesus seriously?
Oh, now we're preaching.
So if we really took Jesus seriously as Christians, we would be looking at ourselves and the big log in our eye about what we're doing wrong and what we need to fix and how we need to walk with Jesus. Instead of looking around and finding everybody else that doesn't do things right or follow the rules or doesn't believe our brand of Christianity, and instead we would serve them, love them, support them, because you know what I've heard? They will know Christians by their love. And so truthfully, what I don't understand about the evangelical Christians or that crowd out there that we've just been talking about is what I see there is they're going around calling people apostates instead of really listening to what they have to say, and saying that they're breaking all these kinds of rules and that they're heretics when they're actually talking about following Jesus, and being Jesus to the world. And so, truthfully, you're right, maybe a war won't solve it. But if we were to dive into our Bibles and begin living like Jesus tells us to, that would be a revolution.
Okay.
Amen to that.
Okay. Isn't the show over when someone appeals to living like Jesus? It's kind of like the Trump card. It's like, okay,
it's not the Trump card. I'll tell you that. It's not the EFT Trump card.
Yeah. I'm collecting Trump cards. It's my new hobby. I didn't think about that. He's selling Trump cards, literally. Okay. You guys have only mentioned one of my 4 stories.
Oh.
Only one.
So do we have to cover all of them?
We don't have to, but we're going to.
That one was the bus story. It was mine, I'm sure.
I'll go fast, okay? I'll go fast because I think people want to know. I've already said now I had 4 stories, and people are saying, ooh, I wonder what they are. And then Sky says, do we have to? Okay. Number 1, we didn't mention the rise, not necessarily in numbers, but in visibility and discussion of Christian nationalism.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, where we've got national politicians advocating for Christian nationalism. That's kind of new, where we have people within evangelicalism saying, oh, no, that's not a bad word. That's a good word, and I'm going to wear that proudly. Okay, that's new. Number 2, Dobbs being overturned. Nobody mentioned Dobbs being overturned.
Yeah.
That was kind of big. That was kind of big this year, Sky.
Yes and no. It's big, but as we've talked about numerous times in the past, I don't think it's ultimately going to make that big a difference in the abortion rates in the United States.
But it is making a difference already in the political landscape.
Yes.
As people perceive that the right, however you define that, has overreached, has gone too far, and there's pushback.
Correct.
And so, yes, so I think the story next year might be, and maybe we're wrong, because here's my ultimate story. Is the video we put out on abortion still relevant or not? Because the argument, and people are still hammering me about that, and it's your stinking video with you on camera reading the teleprompter of the words that you wrote.
He was in your studio, though.
And someone said, but you produced it. Okay, sorry. I didn't mean to demean you with that impersonation, but that's how it came across to me on Twitter. So the question is, because we were relaying arguments put forth by David French that national elections do not have very much impact on actual abortion rates.
Right. And if I can defend myself a little bit here, we also said in that video, and even if Roe is overturned, it won't have that dramatic an effect on the abortion rate, whereas these other things could. So I wasn't saying you shouldn't overturn Roe. I was just saying it's probably not the silver bullet everyone thinks it is.
So in 2023, we're going to find out if you and David French are full of poop.
How are we going to find that out?
We're going to find out.
How?
See what happens with the abortion rate. Does it go, if it goes down like 10% within Guttmacher's estimated range, then we say, that's what we thought. We were right. Okay, so that's what we're going to find out.
Right.
Do we need to take down that video for being an inaccurate forecast? That's what we're going to find out in 2023.
Here's what's crazy. I don't think it's beyond reason to think that the abortion rate may actually go up. And here's why.
Ooh, okay.
In every presidency since Jimmy Carter's, Democrat and Republican, the abortion rate has fallen in the United States. And for the first time, it went up under President Trump. So the abortion rate was going back up against all trends for the last 40 years. And then they suddenly overturned Roe. So it's possible that even though some states are outlawing it, the overall abortion rate, especially when you include chemical abortions through, prescription meds and things like that, it may continue to go up. So that would be really fascinating if even overturning Roe not only didn't end abortion, which it doesn't, it didn't even reduce it, but it continued to go up.
No.
Okay, so what that sounds to me is that you're not just not backing down, you're doubling down.
I'm asking a question, but if it goes down more than 10 or 13% or whatever it was predicted, I'll be happy. I mean, that's a good outcome. But it still doesn't, as David French often says, there's a huge difference between banning abortion and ending abortion. And if people think that overturning Roe is ending abortion, then they're wrong. And there's a lot of work still to do. And it's grassroots work that I think some people are prematurely celebrating a premature victory here.
Okay, Christian, sorry I interrupted you.
No, I was just going to ask, why did it go up under Trump?
I think it's probably a couple of reasons. Number one, abortion rates, the decline in abortion rates slows under Republican presidents in general. And that's because abortions are most common among women in poverty. And when they have less assistance, less welfare, less access to healthcare, less education, they're more likely to get abortions. Those programs took a hit under Trump. But then secondly, and this isn't Trump's fault, the pandemic. I think there were people who were unemployed, the chaos of the world, found themselves pregnant, decided this is not a moment in time where I can bring a child in, and they opted for abortions perhaps more frequently because of the pandemic.
Okay, interesting.
Fascinating. Okay, so we'll find out next year if Sky is right, and that's going to be fun, I think, for everyone, especially for the middle school lunchroom we call Twitter. And then this is my last story. I'm going to read for you a new intro for the Holy Post podcast. Okay, this was written for us. Hello and welcome to the Holy Post podcast, where every week Sky and Phil dive deep into the world of spirituality and religion. Join us as we explore the rich histories and contemporary practices of the world's major faiths and share our own personal experiences with the divine. Each episode, we'll be talking to experts in the field and engaging in thought-provoking discussions about the role of religion in our lives. So grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and join us on the Holy Post podcast.
I like that he said tea.
Yeah, he said tea. That intro was written by artificial intelligence.
I have been using artificial intelligence to write blogs.
Oh dear. That is, I believe, one of the big stories we'll be covering next year when AI writing starts popping up in sermons.
Yes. And what about
I need AI to write my devotionals.
What a great... Sorry, Phil, what's the website on that?
I'll give you the one I've been using. It's called Jasper. Or Simplified, I think. And did you know that there is, if you go on Discord, there is a channel that can make like AI images, so you can make movie posters. Like it's amazing. It's not only amazing, it's absolutely terrifying what people are going to start to do. Here's another one. The main theme of the VeggieTales movie, The Star of Christmas, is the true meaning of Christmas. The story follows the character Cavis Apithart, who's the director of a Christmas play, as he tries to put on the perfect performance. Along the way, he learns that the true meaning of Christmas is not about putting on a perfect show or getting everything just right, but rather it's about celebrating the birth of Jesus and the love and hope that he brings to the world. Okay, that was the response of an AI to the prompt, write a summary of the VeggieTales show, The Star of Christmas. So, and that was actually more accurate than the summary of The Star of Christmas that VeggieTales PR people just tweeted last week. And I was trying to figure out, because they named the theme. I wrote The Star of Christmas. They put its theme in a tweet last week from the official VeggieTales Twitter page that is not the theme of the video. And I was like, what? Where did they come up with that? And someone pointed out to me it was word for word taken from the Wikipedia page for that video. So the people who own VeggieTales are looking to Wikipedia to tell them what VeggieTales is about, and it's wrong. And this AI was given the assignment of summarizing the video and went out, I don't know, scoured how many, read articles, learned about my video, and then wrote a summary of it that's more accurate than the one from a PR person.
Okay, so here's my question to Christian. You're already using AI. Mike, if you had more access to AI, how would you employ that?
I'd employ it right now to answer your question. First of all. Secondly, we don't do our podcast on YouTube. So I could simply be out of a job. I'll just type in a prompt, aim it for 60 minutes with a few lighthearted laughs, and hit play, and I'm done.
Boom, bada boom, bada bing.
No, I don't know anything about this. I've had friends texting me images and so I have no idea what I would do with it. I mean, is it because in one moment I think of, oh, okay, it's like Siri. I can just ask it questions and it can talk back. But the idea of like it creating content, that blows my mind. I don't have a category for that yet. And for my kids in school, right? How do you, as you know, in college, how do you like guard against that?
Yeah.
When you can just write a prompt into it, and
we've already had to write software that does plagiarism searches for teachers, so they can run a paper through an app and say, "Oh, this paragraph is from this work," and it's uncredited.
You know, having been an editor at CT and having teenagers where I have, even last night was helping one of my teenagers with a paper, and so I see raw writing, and I've seen it for years, including with highly educated like church leaders and stuff at CT. And one thing that's pretty universal is people are horrible at writing. And so they just are, even very good, well-known. I mean, there were some cases at CT where a well-known person would send us an article, and they're a brilliant speaker, a great preacher, for example. And I see this person's raw written material and I'm going, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to rewrite this whole thing. Right. So my guess is you're going to be able to spot the AI stuff because it's just probably good English.
Yeah, that was what
and properly written.
There will be a control for
I
that.
was so
How
stunned.
good do you want your English to be?
Yeah.
So stunned when I, started making my first little AI post or whatever, because I thought there would be grammatical mistakes, but there really were not. And the summaries, it's interesting because it took the knowledge that I had in my head. This was going to be about the Battle of Carentan. So it took the knowledge that I had in my head from being in France and knowing what I know there to ask the questions or make the statements. And then it put together a far better summary than I could have written myself with better English.
Don't you think it's a case of like counterfeit money? You can spot the counterfeit stuff because it's too perfect.
Maybe.
And the people who are trained to look for the irregularities that ought to be there in the real thing.
I haven't tried adding humor. Do you know, like my husband's a very humorous writer and he writes in a certain like self-deprecating way. Do you think it can write like that?
I wonder, maybe, but I wonder if this is going to do to like human minds what the calculator did, where we no longer have to, I'm terrible at math. I always have been. And the moment I was able to start using calculators and things like that in school, like I just stopped worrying about math. Like I don't do that anymore. Is that what's going to happen with verbal communication?
I think it's going to be more like what happened in WALL-E when we all got floating chairs and super big gulps. I think that's more where we're headed. Okay, we're about out of time. We're about out of time. Our brains are going to be disconnected little bones, shrunken little bones that don't touch anymore, just floating around in jelly saying, I can't reach my super big gulp. Would someone nudge it closer to me? Mike, do you want to make a prediction for next year? What story do you think we're going to see next year?
Well, Phil, based on that, I think AI will be writing stories about itself.
Ooh.
So I'm skeptical. No, I think Beyonce will buy Twitter and rescue the whole thing. That's my personal prediction.
So.
Okay, Beyonce. Okay. As long as it's not Kanye. We don't want Kanye buying anything to rescue anything. Okay, Beyonce is our savior. Got it. Mike Erie, you can quote here. Christian, do you have a prediction for next year?
Well, I'm going to go with this. So I was really struggling with this whole prediction, and I came up with, that Elon Musk probably wouldn't step down from Twitter like he said he would if everybody wanted him to leave. But then, now Twitter has been taken. So I'm going to go with Nostradamus as one of his predictions for the year.
Ooh.
Nostradamus?
Nostradamus, yes. Sorry. Thank you.
Or
it's
Notre
not
Dame.
Nostril. It's not Nostradamus.
Nostraldame
Yeah.
us.
I'm going to go with that. I mean, there were a few things on his list, but, the Mars landing was one of them, and finding something crazy. A new pope would be put into place. There was going to be a huge celestial fire. But out of all of these, this is the one that I think is probably the most, certain. So Nostradamus' final prediction for 2023 talked about the new alliance of two great powers coming together. The new alignment will potentially be between a strong man and a weak one, or even a male and a female leader. However, the alliance's good effects will not be long-lasting.
So you're saying the ticket is going to be Carrie Lake and Donald Trump?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Who's the weak one?
Kanye, and Beyonce is the strong one. And they're going to ride Twitter. Okay, Sky.
Could be about the royal family.
Oh, I think we're done. I think that's the news of next year, is that the whole world is done with the royal family. Just not interested anymore. They can keep living in those places, but we're not interested anymore. Sky, prediction. Come on. It's almost the end of the year. This is big. We need it.
Sky, end it. Close it.
You already predicted that abortion is going to double. So that's a pretty.
I did not say that.
Radical prediction.
I did not say that. I am going to predict, sadly, that the end of Putin's regime in Russia is probably going to bring with it some very bad things that will dominate the news in 2023.
Oh, come on. You just ended on a downer.
I know.
Christian, tell us about the bus again. Will we finally go on choir tour
I'm going to go back.
Enemies?
I'm going to go back to the bus with this. So, truthfully, really bad things may happen in 2023. They may. But as I look at the scriptures and as I look at what God has done in my own life, what I've discovered is that we grow the most spiritually when we are under really terrible times and things being, really hard or bad for us. So I say, let's not be afraid of the bad things of 2023. Let's run into the fire. Let's embrace them, because on the other side of that will come closer intimacy with Christ.
In other words, the lunchroom is a laboratory of sanctification.
There you go.
That's what that was. That's what that was.
Don't leave the lunchroom.
You're staying there, Phil.
Eat your tots. Peel the other tots off your forehead and eat those too. Except the tots of scorn, like grapes of wrath. The tots of scorn, my new book. Eat them. Be nourished spiritually and physically by the tots meant for evil that God has used for good. Wow. And thank you, Patreon supporters, for being with us. Sky, you okay?
I was just thinking, these are my tots, which are thrown for you.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
And we will see you next week. Thanks, guys. So appreciative.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Goodbye. Oh, thanks, special guests, Mike Erie. Thanks, Mike Erie, for being here.
I'm honored. Thank you.
If anybody sees Santa, thank him for stopping by, because that was even better than Mike Erie. The noses seem similar.
Tots of Scorn.
The noses seem similar.
Okay. Tots of Scorn.
Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
The Holy Post Podcast is a production of Holy Post Media. Production assistance by Julie Betcher. Editing by Jason Rugg. Help us create more thoughtful Christian media by supporting us at patreon.com/Holy Post. Also, be sure to leave a review on iTunes so more people can discover thoughtful Christian commentary, plus ukulele, and occasional butt news. Visit holypost.com for show notes, news stories, Holy Post merchandise, and much more.